It collides with Bei Ming's demonic aura, detonating an explosion spanning miles. When the smoke clears, Bei Ming still stands, claws and beastly skin fully revealed. He lifts his head and taunts, "Go on, try to kill me." Fear gone, Bei Ming transforms into a dark beast form radiating savage, murderous might. With burning eyes and a crooked grin, he replies to Erlang with utter confidence, "I've been waiting for this." Now fused with Hao Tian, Bei Ming becomes a half-human, half-beast entity radiating crushing pressure. The principal bursts out laughing, mocking that has turned into something neither man nor dog. Bei Ming smirks coldly, saying nothing but, "Come on, you wanted to kill me, right?" He adds smugly, "I bet worms like you taste decent." The principal, enraged, gathers all divine power, swearing to crush the insolent wretch. He unleashes his ultimate force, light tearing through the sky. Bei Ming dodges easily but then feels a gnawing hunger rising from within. He licks his lips, his monstrous hands sprouting fanged maws, saying icily, "Perfect, your divine power will make a fine appetizer." The beastly mouths devour every trace of the principal's energy, leaving nothing behind. The principal, horrified, then sneers that Bei Ming's a fool fighting with base animal instinct. He laughs maniacally, daring anyone to challenge his endurance. Bei Ming narrows his eyes, his wounds sealing as he finishes absorbing the power. The principal screams in rage, refusing to believe he used full strength and failed, accusing Bei Ming of cheating. Bei Ming grins, calling the last round an appetizer and saying it's time to eat more. With wicked delight, he declares it's time for the main course. He summons a horde of demon hounds from his aura and orders them to attack. The principal freezes, unable to believe the demonic energy could manifest creatures. He scoffs, calling it a farce, and lashes them apart with his serpent tail. Bei Ming calmly spawns more, mocking him for thinking gods can't be bitten by dogs. He laughs coldly, saying, "You're right, ill let the dogs bite a god." Then he adds, "And ill bite one too." The principal is speechless as Bei Ming's eyes blaze crimson like a demon tearing reality apart. The principal's terrified scream echoes all the way to where Muruaksu stands. She realizes in horror that the dreadful aura is Bei Ming's darker than ever before. She wonders how many secrets he still hides within. The principal breaks down, confessing his hatred for humanity, begging for mercy and not to be devoured. Bei Ming replies coldly, "No need for apologies, you helped me understand the true meaning of life. Consider this my gift in return." He rips out the principal's massive heart, declaring his soul will be devoured in eternal void. Bei Ming absorbs the heart, his power erupting in terrifying waves. The ground quakes as dark energy storms into the sky. Muruaksu trembles, realizing Bei Ming has absorbed all the school's demonic energy and his own. He gathers the darkness within and exhales softly, as if freed. The dying principal weakly asks why he wasn't killed. Bei Ming turns away, saying, "Life and death aren't mine to decide." The principal admits he failed as both a leader and a man. A small photo drops beside him with a wry remark, "Maybe you were still a good father." He looks at the photo of a happy father and daughter, choking as he begs Bei Ming to save the girl he once abandoned. With his final breath, the photo slips from his hand. Bei Ming gazes silently at the corpse, vowing to protect his daughter. He meets Muruaksu, saying the school's crisis is over and asking her to handle the aftermath. As he turns to leave, she calls out. Worried for him, he just smiles, saying there's no need. Bei Ming touches the heavy chain on his neck. Hao Tian appears, whining in pain. The demon is yanked out, screaming in agony. Hao Tian rages, scolding Bei Ming for forcing their fusion. Bei Ming ignores him, telling Muruaksu to take care of Dai for him. She nods softly, too moved to speak. Bei Ming walks off, ordering Hao Tian to follow. He declares their school life is over. Hao Tian jokes, congratulating the graduate, and they fly away. Muruaksu watches them leave, regretting she never asked for his number. Late that night, a lonely girl sits in a park, lamenting her miserable life. She hugs a bottle, drunk and cursing the sleazy manager, who harasses her. Two strange men approach, pretending to comfort her. One hesitates, warning that a monster stronger than the night hunters is around, but his boss dismisses it. The thug grins, saying they can't waste such a fine catch, and drags his lackey along. Suddenly the lights go out, and a cold voice echoes. The boss growls, challenging the unseen intruder. Bei Ming and Hao Tian appear atop a lamppost, saying they just want to talk. The blonde thug snarls, furious at the interruption, while his minion trembles at their terrifying presence. He recognizes Bei Ming as the rumored mass monster killer, leaving Bei Ming awkwardly amused. The two demons transform, laughing, vowing to eat the girl before they die. The drunk girl yells irritably, demanding quiet so she can sleep. Suddenly, two bunny ears pop out of her head. She stares, baffled. Realizing all three are monsters, the bunny girl nervously compliments their guts for showing forms in public. The blonde thug snaps that she ruined his mood and killed his vibe. His lackey trembles, begging for mercy since they hadn't done anything yet. The bunny girl screams as both men burst into flames before her eyes. Bei Ming scolds their stupidity, then turns gently to her as she begs, insisting she's innocent. He warns her not to lie, or he won't hold back. Hao Tian jokes it's been ages since he tasted rabbit. She shakes in terror, whimpering like a kitten. After questioning her, They leave. Hao Tian grumbles it was a wasted trip, but Beiming says they still learned something about the demon world. He notes there are far more monsters than expected, each with its own reason to exist, easy to spot once they reveal their nature. Hao Tian asks if it's by scent of blood. Beiming nods, saying that's how to gauge their rank. He adds the bunny girl had no blood scent, so he spared her. Hao Tian worries she might lose control later. Beiming chuckled, saying it's no longer his concern, and he only wants to hunt that man, but a phone ring cut him off. He checked his phone messages from Mei Ni and his homeroom teacher. Mai Ni sent a long text, asking about his health, saying the school was rebuilt after the quake thanks to a mysterious 10 million donation, then shyly admitted she worried about him. The teacher's message scolded yet cared, revealing he's now the new principal and would keep Beiming's power secret. Beiming smiled, touched, while Hao Tian grumbled over the 10 million, calling him stupid for charity. Beiming calmly replied that money can't make one strong, but power can earn money. His vision goes far beyond that sum. Hao Tian laughed, agreeing it made sense. Beiming gazed at the city, admitting he's still weak and must train and gather intel. Hao Tian nodded, praising his maturity and calmness, then prepared to reveal a secret about their enemy. Beiming widened his eyes, pressing Hao Tian to tell him everything he knew about that foe. Hao Tian coolly demanded 2 promises: no blind revenge, and act only when strong enough. Beiming swore seriously. Hao Tian went on, wishing for a new body so he wouldn't just watch helplessly, though the chance was slim. Beiming burst out laughing, patting his spectral friend, saying he trusted him. Hao Tian sighed, wanting a body again. Beiming nodded eagerly, ready for the revelation. Hao Tian spoke solemnly their enemy might belong to the strongest ancient race, the Dragon Clan. Beiming gaped in disbelief, thunderstruck. He confirmed those legendary dragons that command storms and soar through skies and seas. Hao Tian nodded, warning not to mess with them. If the dragons kept full power, even his original self might lose. Beiming clenched his fist, saying that's why he must grow stronger, blaming only his weakness. He admitted his fighting style was crude, fit only for weaklings. Hao Tian silently saw real growth in him. Beiming pondered his current power. Ghost energy absorption grows strength, but has limits. He must stabilize, optimize absorption, strategize stealing power, and prepare for superlevel transformation. Hao Tian roared furiously, warning him not to fuse his soul at suicide. Beiming covered his ears, groaning he went, both scared and annoyed at the scolding. He thought no sane man would try that, then pondered safer ways to grow stronger beyond killing ghosts. Seeing him thoughtful, Hao Tian asked what he was thinking. Beiming asked about Shu Kong Wan Can, guessing it's an ancient knowledge treasure. Hao Tian said he didn't know, teasing if he wanted to jump in and explore. Beiming quickly refused if he couldn't get out. His dad just wanted to confirm the power conversion mechanism. Hao Tian patiently explained use demonic energy to tear open the void. More energy, wider tier random loot, or deadly monsters may appear. Beiming was stunned, calling it nightmare gacha rules. Hao Tian assured the bad odds were tiny, asking if he dared try. Beiming pondered long. Finally he shouted, "Fine, let's do it," and asked how to begin. Hao Tian said to channel demonic energy through the soul chain. Beiming obeyed, and the chain glowed. Light burst out, mysterious power radiating around Hao Tian. In that glow, an object slowly emerged, a shining book. Beiming cheered, thinking it hit the jackpot, a divine manual. What a steal! He laughed heartily, convinced luck was finally on his side. But on reading the title, he froze. The beauty secrets of change. Beiming screamed furiously, "Beauty secrets my ass!" He threw the book, demanding Hao Tian refund his demonic energy. Hao Tian shrugged, "No refunds in gacha, buddy." Seeing his rage, Hao Tian comforted, "Maybe it makes you handsomer." Beiming shot a cold glare, "I'm already perfection." Hao Tian was speechless, about to reply when a phone rang. Beiming saw an unknown number. He answered. Mu Rushu's sweet voice chimed. "Good morning, Beiming, it's me." His heart skipped. "The goddess called me!" He replied shyly, asking how she got his number. Mu Rushu giggled, said she found it in student files, and invited him to a family banquet. He was about to decline, but she explained it was actually a secret meeting of day and night hunters, full of renowned masters. Demons. She said it'd help him learn about the hunter world, while he thought it's a chance to find clues about his enemy. Beiming agreed, thanked her, and asked for the address. Mu Rushu promised to text it later. After she hung up, Beiming sighed. Goddesses are unpredictable. Hao Tian warned that attending in Chongming was like entering a tiger's den. He shrugged, saying he'd hide his demonic aura. Hao Tian sternly added he'd need a fake identity, or be exposed instantly. Beiming agreed, deciding to find a body for Hao Tian tomorrow, joking that the city's full of pet shops. He confidently said 3 days was plenty of prep time. 2 days later, he was exhausted, whining he still hadn't found a suitable body. He complained he'd searched every pet shop, but found nothing, while the banquet loomed closer. Beiming snapped, blaming Hao Tian's dumb idea that nearly got him arrested. Hao Tian retorted, blaming weak dogs. Beiming sighed, torn between keeping his promise to Mu Rushu and staying safe. Hao Tian encouraged him, saying there's still time. Just then, a strong demonic aura swept by. They instantly tensed, realizing it was true monster energy. They stayed alert. Bei Ming sensed the faint yet real aura of a demon and wondered why it dared appear in daylight. Hao Tian urged him not to dawdle. They still needed to find him a body. Bei Ming dashed off, saying it'd only take a moment. Hao Tian grumbled but followed. When they arrived, the aura vanished. Bei Ming suspected they'd been spotted, but Hao Tian said the foe couldn't hide forever. In front of them stood a strange pet shop. Bei Ming was puzzled, not recalling ever seeing it, but decided to enter. They stepped inside and greeted together. The short-haired shopkeeper, cuddling a small owl, smiled brightly, complimenting his looks and asking if he wanted a dog. She cheerfully advertised the all-purpose pet agency, listing breeds from cute to classy like a luxury auctioneer. Bei Ming was speechless, doubting it was a real pet shop, while Hao Tian beamed, saying it smelled like money. Bei Ming played along, saying he wanted a brave and smart dog. The lady asked gender preference. He turned to Hao Tian. Up to you. Hao Tian jumped, shouting, "I'm not some pervy dog like you think." The shopkeeper smiled politely, inviting them to see her prettiest pups. Bei Ming awkwardly followed. As they walked, she suddenly sniffed the air, eyeing Bei Ming suspiciously. He broke into a cold sweat, thinking, wait, is she part dog too? She tilted her head, murmuring, weird, why do you smell so strongly of dog? Both Bei Ming and Hao Tian froze. She realized her slip, laughed awkwardly, calling it instinct, and urged them on. Bei Ming panicked inside. Hao Tian smirked, bragging his docking charm was just too powerful. Bei Ming stared at the ceiling in silence. The shopkeeper showed off a muscular, elegant Doberman. Bei Ming could stop praising it. But the moment Hao Tian brushed by, the noble dog turned dumb as a rock. The Doberman went derpy. The owner screamed, and Bei Ming realized the cause, begging Hao Tian to pull out before the dog lost brain cells. Hao Tian withdrew. The dog revived, and Bei Ming raised a fist. Hao Tian muttered it had muscles for brains. The shopkeeper then showed a herding dog with an IQ of an 8-year-old. Bei Ming was impressed. He smirked at Hao Tian. This one should work. But once Hao Tian possessed it, the dog turned emo, whining about life. The shopkeeper panicked, thinking it relapsed. Bei Ming fumed, grabbing Hao Tian and yelling, if any body fit. Hao Tian stammered he was close. Mid-argument, they sensed a surge of demonic energy. There was a monster hiding inside. Hao Tian was thrilled to leech it. They followed the trace, only to find it came from a tiny puppy the size of a fist, barely breathing. The puppy opened its eyes weakly. Bei Ming was stunned that such immense energy came from something so small. Hao Tian also sensed something off. The little dog glanced at Hao Tian, whispering tremulously, ancestor. Bei Ming gaped. The pup just called Hao Tian ancestor! He suspected Hao Tian was some ancient husky patriarch. Hao Tian barked denial, claiming pure, untouched glory. Hao Tian sniffed the aura did resemble his a bit, maybe a distant relative. Bei Ming's eyes lit up. Same bloodline meant possession should be stable! Hao Tian frowned, cursing the weak pup as a disgrace to the celestial canine line. Bei Ming soothed him, urging to possess it anyway, then eagerly asked to buy the dog. Deal sealed. The shopkeeper looked and realized it was that poor little husky. She sighed, saying she hadn't meant to reveal the truth, but saw his genuine love for dogs. She explained it was consigned for sale, of pure lineage, but had refused food since arrival. No illness, just listless, and advised him to pick another. Bei Ming insisted, praising her salesmanship, saying he'd buy it even at a loss. He wanted that one. Seeing his stubbornness, she dropped the price from tens of thousands to just 3,000 yuan for fate's sake. Bei Ming froze at the price, grimacing. She confirmed that was basically charity. He rubbed his temples. He only had 1,000. Hao Tian shouted for donations, then mocked the pup as too weak to host him. Bei Ming snapped, grabbing Hao Tian's soul chain, threatening, refuse that one and I'll shove you in something worse. Hao Tian clung to the cage, terrified, begging not to be force-emerged again. Bei Ming groaned, paying while scolding himself. If only he hadn't been so generous before, he wouldn't be broke now. As he struggled to pay, the door burst open. A gang stormed in. Their leader sneered while the owner shouted angrily, Luo Fei, get out! Don't insult my customers! Luo Fei suddenly grabbed her wrist. She screamed in pain and fear. He grinned wickedly, mocking their past, demanding she return to him for free protection. But she cursed him to his face as the trash she once dated. Luo Fei flushed with rage, then turned on Bei Ming, barking that he'd better scram or else. Unfortunately, Bei Ming wasn't the type to scare easy. Bei Ming smirked, thanking fate, and told Hao Tian, short on cash, looks like someone brought us funds. Both instantly switched to rob the robber mode. Luo Fei's gang burst out laughing. Some punk trying to extort them. What a joke. Luo Fei growled a final warning. The shopkeeper panicked, begging Bei Ming to leave before things got ugly. Bei Ming just smiled, saying he hadn't finished shopping yet, cracking a joke that made her both nervous and flustered. Luo Fei roared, ordering his men to beat him and toss him out. The shopkeeper pleaded desperately, offering to pay his debt instead. As someone grabbed his collar, Bei Ming calmly said, wait, like a gambler about to reveal his ace. Luo Fei sneered, thinking he'd begged, but Bei Ming instead guessed his protection fee, perfectly at 2,000 yuan, stunning everyone. Bei Ming coolly proposed a deal he'd get rid of the thugs in exchange for a 2,000 yuan discount on the puppy. The shopkeeper gasped, warning they were from the infamous Hai Long Bang, making Bei Ming realize he'd just made a deal with real mafia. Luo Fei thought Bei Ming was scared, laughing arrogantly, flaunting his gangster status. But before the grin finished, he was slammed flat like hit by a tank, letting out a choked cry. Bei Ming's demonic aura erupted, forcing the whole gang to their knees. His icy voice warned, "If you value your life, never speak that name before me." Killing intent surged his eyes beast-like while Luo Fei trembled, body crushed under invisible weight. He gasped and coughed, unable to move, feeling like his bones were being ground to dust. Bei Ming inhaled deeply, calming himself. These were just mortals. A warning and their wallets would do. The gang understood instantly, threw their wallets, and fled, screaming, "He dared mess with Hai Long Bang, this guy's insane!" Hao Tian whistled teasingly. Bei Ming straightened up, declaring, "I am the brave husky knight. Come find me if you dare revenge!" The thugs ran faster, shouting back weakly, "Brave husky knight will remember you!" The street echoed with absurdity. Hao Tian facepalmed, groaning that name's an embarrassment to the entire husky clan. Bei Ming grinned, saying, "The weirder the name, the harder to forget," then muttered the Hai Long Bang was worth investigating. A shaky female voice cut in, could you let go of me now?" Bei Ming realized he was still holding the shopkeeper's waist, quickly released her. Blushing an apology, she shyly whispered, "It's fine." Hao Tian rolled his eyes, teasing, "Go on, Romeo," but the shopkeeper composed herself, scolding, "Your reckless Hai Long Bang won't let this go." Bei Ming smiled, "Don't worry, they're after me, not you." She fretted, saying he was too young to mess with gangs, admitting she's used to being bullied but didn't want him dragged in. Bei Ming felt touched, smiling confidently that he was strong enough. Gangsters were just mosquitoes, then paid, and took the dog. The shopkeeper refused, saying she couldn't take money. After he saved her, Bei Ming left his number, saying to call if trouble came. She hesitated, "Are you sure it's not a bother?" Bei Ming waved goodbye without looking back while she blushed, watching him leave with a racing heart, thinking he was amazing. At a deserted lot, Bei Ming studied the frail pup, confused why it still seemed limp even after its energy was absorbed. Hao Tian lost patience, snapping, "Forget it, I'm not babysitting some weak mutt." He glared at the pup with disdain, scoffing that this so-called celestial canine bloodline was pathetic. Bei Ming urged him to go easy. It was still family, after all. Hao Tian snorted coldly, then said solemnly, "Listen well, I'll borrow your body to house my spirit. You may vanish, but that's the duty of the celestial canine bloodline." He lunged to possess it. Bei Ming shouted to stop, but BOP. Hao Tian was blasted away by a barrier from the pup's own soul. Splatting flat, Bei Ming gaped, failed again. Hao Tian clutched his head, yelling, "How can this scrawny thing have such strong spirit? Open the gate, you mutt!" Ming Ming bowed, apologizing. It was ready to sacrifice itself for the clan, but still had one wish unfulfilled, so it couldn't yield its body yet, begging the ancestors' pardon. Hao Tian exploded, cursing the pup for defying him, sneering that its shabby body wasn't even worth possessing. Bei Ming gently calmed him, saying Hao Tian was just hot-headed, then asked Ming Ming what its wish was. Maybe he could help. Tears welled as Ming Ming knelt, begging, "Please, save my little mistress." The plea stunned both Bei Ming and Hao Tian. It wasn't clinging to life but trying to save someone else. The trio, one man, two dogs, went to the hospital. Peering through the window, Bei Ming asked, "That's your little mistress?" On the bed lay a frail girl, but Bei Ming also saw a murky black shadow clinging to her. Hao Tian recognized it instantly. A water wraith feeds on human life force till death. He said the girl was almost drained. If they didn't act now, she'd die. Bei Ming knew time was life. He rushed to open the door, but a voice called from behind, "Excuse me, who are you?" He turned to see a middle-aged woman, the girl's mother. As Bei Ming froze, the tiny dog whispered, trembling, "Ruosi, my mistress' name is Ruosi." Bei Ming bowed politely. "I'm Ruosi's classmate. I came to visit after hearing she was ill." But the woman's face darkened when she saw the puppy, pointing in horror. "Why did you bring that cursed dog here?" "My daughter's illness began after we adopted it," she nearly screamed, crying and furious, saying she should have killed the dog from the start instead of letting it bring ruin upon them. The harsh words made Ming Ming shrink. In Bei Ming's arms, he just held it tight and silently backed away. Leaving the hospital, Bei Ming leapt across rooftops with Ming Ming, listening as it weakly recalled how kind Ruoxi's family once was. Ming Ming tearfully said it was willing to die if it meant she could live happily. Bei Ming fell silent, thinking, "Foolish thing, she no longer sees you as family." He remembered the mother's furious eyes and curses, vowing to cook the dog. If it returned, Bei Ming's heart sank, wondering how warmth had turned to cruelty. The mother, in despair, wailed that her husband left, her child was dying, and everything collapsed because of that cursed beast, then laughed madly, muttering, "Maybe we should all just die together." Bei Ming's face hardened. He barked, "Silence!" his voice icy. "You call yourself a mother. How can you speak such venom to your own child?" The woman snapped back that she did it out of love, but then demonic energy lifted her into the air. She screamed for help as Bei Ming said coldly, "True love protects, it doesn't drag family into death." His tone dropped, eyes distant with old pain. Even a small dog knows not to make those it loves despair. He gently patted Mingming's head, then released the woman, saying coldly, "Your joy or sorrow is no concern of mine." His arm darkened with demonic aura as he muttered irritably, "I'm only here to fulfill this little one's last wish." Beiming spotted the water wraith, trying to flee. He seized its root-like tendril and growled, "That stench who controls you? Is it tied to the church that woman mentioned?" Without waiting for an answer, Beiming clenched his fist, pouring fury into the wraith. "Whoever sent you, pray we never meet again." Demonic energy flared. The water wraith's roots burned to ash. The terrified woman stammered, "What are you?" As the spirit died, little Ruoshi stirred, weakly whispering, "Mom, Mom." The mother broke down, hugging her child and sobbing, "Ruoshi, you're awake! I'm sorry, I was wrong. I almost lost you." Hao Tian snorted. Typical weakling hurts others then blames them. Pathetic. Beiming stayed silent, then murmured, "That's just human weakness. Not everyone can bear pain." With the task done, he turned away. But the woman called out, "Wait, student!" Realizing the truth, she bowed deeply. "Thank you for saving Ruoshi. I'm sorry for my madness. I'll never do something that foolish again, and I'll love her even more." Beiming replied coldly, "You made your choices, bear the cost. I'm not involved. As for the dog, I bought it. Its ties to you are cut." Hao Tian cursed while paying, tongue sharp though his hand still generous. The sky cleared, and Beiming felt lighter, proudly noting he still had secret cash. Once the others left, Beiming teased the pup. "Satisfied now?" It whispered, "Thank you, Jeej." Hao Tian scolded it for being too weak to protect anyone, then asked if it wanted strength. It softly said yes. Hao Tian pretended not to hear, forcing it to shout its wish. When Ming finally roared its desire, he said, "Open your soul to me, and I'll grant true power." Bei Ming worried it'd lose its soul, but Hao Tian assured him the little spirit was tougher than it looked. Light flashed, the fusion began, and Bei Ming's eyes widened. The tiny dog now radiated ferocity. Hao Tian laughed gleefully, savoring rebirth. Its eyes changed color, and it darted like lightning, biting through a concrete pipe behind Bei Ming in a blink. Bei Ming stood frozen, stunned by the sheer power. He could only gape, murmuring, "Now that's a real monster." Hao Tian roared triumphantly, boasting that though his body was weak, his spirit could still curse the mortal realm. He howled madly, "I'll destroy this wretched world, tear fate itself apart." Watching the tiny dog swagger and wag its tail, Bei Ming half laughed, half sighed, thinking, "Something feels off here." Ah well, he's happy. As night fell, peace returned. Bei Ming tucked Hao Tian in his coat as they headed for the banquet. Hao Tian nestled inside, thrilled about the feast, whining that having a body meant hunger. Bei Ming warned him not to dirty the coat, then a sweet little Tian voice made him think he'd gone crazy. At the villa gate, a guard blocked them, sternly saying it was private property, no invite, no entry. The guard eyed Bei Ming suspiciously, thinking the muttering teen looked shady. Bei Ming chuckled, treating it like a movie scene, then flexed his superb fashion line to throw the man off. The guard broke a sweat, realizing this kid bit back, and forced a polite tone. Before he could speak, Bei Ming flashed his phone with an invite, smirking, "This count is valid." After scanning the code, the guard reluctantly bowed them in, swallowing defeat before a streetwise pro. A few steps in, another staffer stopped them. "Only guests allowed, pets must stay outside," pointing at a no-dog sign. The manager explained. Bei Ming fumed while Hao Tian whispered, "Let's just jump the fence," making him want to vanish. Bei Ming snapped, "No chaos, we're here to party, not rob." Hao Tian pretended deaf, poker-faced. Bei Ming sighed, racking his brain for a way to keep Hao Tian close, without repeating last time's disaster. Suddenly, a beautiful girl appeared, making Bei Ming freeze, heart pounding like a drum. She squealed softly, opening her arms. "Oh my god, so cute! Let me hug him!" Hao Tian was lifted into that soft embrace, stunned speechless as he faced a warm, heavenly treasure. Even while being hugged, Hao Tian groaned indignantly, "Outrageous! How dare she humiliate a grand ancestor like me!" Then he spun around and hugged tighter, laughing slyly. "Ha! Kid, watch and learn life experience, my boy." Hao Tian drooled happily, preaching like a sage, "A hero must sacrifice for the greater good. Even lust is a battlefield." Jia Hu nodded fervently. "Wise words, master!" Bei Ming held his head, thinking, "First time I've heard someone make lust sound like philosophy." The girl snapped at the guards, calling them the beasts that should be caged, threatening to pull funding. Everyone froze, while Hao Tian and Jia Hu basked in mortal bliss. One guard tried to argue but was stopped by his co-worker, who apologized profusely, begging Director Li to calm down and come inside. Turned out the beauty was Director Li. She smiled and invited Bei Ming. "Come with me, little handsome," making the guards tremble. People whispered in awe of her power. Bei Ming muttered, "Watch your mouth, that lady's the big boss of Li Mai Corp. Cross her, and you die young." Party lights flared. Bei Ming thanked Miss Li, who laughed, "Ha ha, boys these days sure talk sweet, makes this old lady feel ancient." Before he could reply, a guard called for her again. She snapped, "I heard you!" She handed Hao Tian back to Bei Ming gently. Before leaving, he caught him awkwardly, mumbling thanks. Watching her go, Bei Ming softly praised, "Strong yet kind woman." Hao Tian burst out laughing, "Oh, look who's Mr. Smooth Talker now!" Ming stuffed him back into his coat, murmuring, "Among adults, you survive by hiding sharp edges. Flexibility keeps you alive." Suddenly, someone called Ming. He froze the voice of his dream goddess, his face reddening like a tomato. The goddess Mu Rushu stepped from a luxury car, her graceful figure glowing in a form-fitting dress, lighting up the scene. Hao Tian instantly transformed into a flying dog missile, shooting straight into her arms. Ming gawked, cursing, "You horny mutt," though he couldn't deny a twinge of envy. Mu Rushu blushed, hugging Hao Tian tightly, squealing, "Oh my gosh, so cute!" He nearly fainted from lack of air. Hao Tian flailed, gasping, "Save me!" While Ming thought, "Yeah, I take that back, serves you right." A loud thud from a staff striking the floor shattered the mood. A tall man approached with a young man beside him, growling, "Who allowed that mongrel in here? And you, why are you holding such a weak beast?" He raged, "Creatures of the same kind gather, seems the night beasts have lost all honor." Mu Rushu frowned, handing Jiahu back to Ming. The man sneered, "So this is the boy you praised. Pathetic." He looked Ming up and down with disdain, calling him trash. Ming only smirked calmly, making Rushu unreadable. Ming retorted that weakness is the start of strength and no one stays invincible forever. Hao Tian and Jiahu glared daggers at the man. The young man snapped, calling him rude, scolding his sister for befriending a lowly brat. Ming nearly fell over realizing she was his sister. Mu Rushu shot him a glance. He instantly shrank behind their father. The father paused, noticing Ming's words echoed something an old mentor once told him. As he turned away, Rushu bowed slightly. "Father, he's new to our world, please forgive his manners." Ming froze, nearly choking her father. Hao Tian howled with laughter. "Kid, first meeting and you're already beefing with your future father-in-law. Bold move!" The man said sternly, "You're Ming, right?" Ming trembled, replying, "Yes, sir," inwardly screaming, "I'm doomed," while Hao Tian snickered uncontrollably inside. Rushu's brother muttered, "Sis, just marry him already, don't make dad angrier," making Ming's heart plummet. He stammered an apology, "I didn't mean any trouble," but Rushu gently replied, "No, it's my fault, my family's prejudice made them misjudge you." Ming waves his hands wildly, saying he just wants to understand the situation before saying something stupid again. Nushu feels a bit sad, wondering if he doesn't care that she's about to be married off. She explains that the party is hosted by the Mu family, but the real sponsor is Chongmingju, a front company controlled by two groups, the Ri Show and the Ye Show. She continues, saying both factions share the same goal to conquer the Chongming ranking, the list of power elites. Ming is stunned like a power ranking. Nushu nods, explaining it's based on how many monsters one slays, with rewards in resources and influence, while protecting humanity is just a pretext. Ming sighs, surprised that Chongmingju, once righteous, is really just a self-serving organization. Nushu nods sadly, saying the place has lost its ideals, and those clinging to old beliefs are treated as outcasts. Ming argues that seeking benefits isn't necessarily wrong, maybe it's a more efficient way to protect humanity than jokes. "Relax, goddess, I'm just philosophizing." Seeing her sad eyes, he thinks, "Guess this girl's got her own point, I really am slow." Someone shouts, "How rude!" freezing the room as everyone turns to look. A man blows out smoke, mocking the dull party. People recognize him as Kunshuan, Southern Branch Minister of Ri Show. Nushu's father grits his teeth, retorting that Kunshuan is the rude one, and has no right to act arrogant here. Kunshuan smirks, teasing, "Oh, Mufei Nunga's here too. Right, this party's your family's show." They face off as icy tension spreads. Kunshuan sneers that the Mu clan is nothing but pathetic dogs, embarrassing Chongmingju, making Mufei Nongai almost slam the table. Guests whisper that the Mu family has fallen since the eldest daughter vanished, saying letting them host was a mistake. The air grows heavy. Everyone stands silently as Mufei Nongai suppresses his rage. Kunshuan mocks Mu Nushu, saying the Mu daughter only plays with weak pets and should hurry to find a husband before no one wants her. Hao Tian snaps, shouting, "Pet's your head," and lunges to bite, but Ming restrains him, whispering, "Chill, one bite and this party's over." Mu Nushu trembles with anger, but keeps composure for her family's sake. Ming looks at her worriedly, softly asking, "You okay, goddess?" Mufei Nungi notices Ming and coldly says, "So you came too, perfect timing, I was looking for you." After the commotion, the party continues by the shimmering riverside, feeling both romantic and suffocating. Ming and Hao Tian eat like starved beasts, praising, "So good, so damn good!" Nushu's younger brother approaches. She coldly blames their father for the family's downfall and today's humiliation. The brother mocks her, saying she's nowhere near their eldest sister's talent and has wasted GTO's resources. Nushu tries to explain, but Ming swiftly grabs the dish, calmly saying, "Eat or don't, but stop wasting rice with your nonsense," leaving the brother staring at the empty plate. Fuming, he snaps, "Country bumpkin?" Ming ignores him and comforts Nushu, saying, "Don't mind him, goddess guys like that just bark." She blushes and quietly asks, "And what about you?" But a clinking glass interrupts and Ming, confused, asks, "What'd you say, goddess?" Before she can answer, The drunk Kun Xuan stands up laughing, suggesting a friendly duel between Ri Shou and Ye Shou to spice things up. Mu Feinanga snaps outrageous. This is a banquet, not a fight, but others seem intrigued, saying why not? Sounds fun to watch. Someone adds, great idea, let's see which side's stronger to invest in, and Kun Xuan smirks that a dull party's a waste, making Mu Feinanga turn pale with anger. Kun Xuan thinks smugly that the Ye Shou must be trembling, pitifully weak. Mu Feinanga grits his teeth, knowing they're trying to humiliate the Mu clan, but backing down would mean worse shame. Suddenly, a petite pink-haired girl strides out with a massive beast, arrogantly declaring she'll represent Ri Shou. The crowd cheers. It's Lulu, the cutest beast fighter! Hao Tian gapes, that giant thing's a dog. More like a monster! Beiming freezes, recognizing the scent. It's the pink-haired girl who once tried to kill him. Hao Tian hisses. That damn loli again! Lulu points at Nu Shu, sneering that the Ye Shou are cowards too scared to fight properly. She laughs darkly, taunting, you're Mu Nu Shu, right? Heard you're tough, come fight me, you'll even go easy. Nu Shu just sips her wine silently, not bothering to reply. Lulu pushes further, fine, then let your mutt fight mine unless you're scared it'll get bitten. The crowd roars with laughter, joking that the dog only bites softly and this re-shovers. Ye Shou duel is premium entertainment. Mu Nu Shu's face darkens, but she only smirks coldly as another man shouts excitedly about a human's dog match. She sets her glass down and starts to rise as the crowd chants, go, go! But a hand stops her. Beiming smiles, goddess, let me handle this, you just watch. Nu Shu snaps, are you insane? This is beast territory. Reveal yourself and you're dead. This is Ye Shou honor, don't interfere. Or do you think him weak? Beiming waves his hands. No, not that I just have a personal score with that pink brat. Hao Tian grins, while Nu Shu stares, what? She calls out, Beiming, wait, but he just smiles and waves, relax, I know what I'm doing. Nu Shu blushes, heart racing at the feeling of being protected, so this is what safety feels like. Beiming smirks at Lulu, saying, according to Chongming just rules, a man fighting a dog isn't combat, it's training. For a real match, dog fights dog. Lulu freezes. He adds, and I happen to have one qualified dog to test yours. The crowd buzzes, is he nuts? That tiny pup against a war beast? Mu Feinongai roars, reckless? Ye Shou's honor isn't a toy for outsiders. He turns on Nu Shu, scolding her for bringing such shame, while Kun Xuan chuckles, saying, calm down, Feinonga, the kid's got more guts than half your clan. Kun Xuan raises his hand, urging applause. Let's give this brave boy a hand, he's bolder than most Ye Shou already! The crowd cheers and laughs. Nice one, kid. Just don't lose too miserably, consider it a warm-up for the beast feast. Mu Feinungi's son asks if he should stop the boy, but his father says coldly, no need. Mu Feinungi thinks grimly that Kun Xuan's deliberately mocking them. Fine. Let the kid take the fall, then blame him later. Lulu bursts out laughing, ha! If the little brother wants to fight, I'll gladly oblige! She points mockingly, you're not seriously using that puppy against my darling, are you? Beiming grins, your darling better be ready. Lulu sneers, my beast's slain more demons than you have friends, your poop will be shredded in seconds. Beiming leaps onto the stage, commanding the battle with blazing confidence. The pink-haired girl declares the rule, loser must crawl around the arena barking 3 times. Beiming grins wickedly, tossing out a threat disguised as a challenge. The girl snaps back, ready to turn him into a stray dog. Black light surges with crushing force, shaking the arena and stunning the crowd. The little creature worries, but Hao Tian calmly says it's just flashy intimidation. Hai Guang arrogantly mocks Hao Tian, calling himself the king of martial beasts. Hao Tian coldly challenges him, enraging Hai Guang into a furious roar. Hao Tian sneers that both master and beast need proper discipline. A terrifying giant spirit appears above Hao Tian. Hai Guang trembles in disbelief at that overwhelming power. Hao Tian walks forward slowly, making Hai Guang wail for mercy. Hai Guang collapses as the pink-haired girl panics, seeing her beast frothing at the mouth. The crowd murmurs that Hai Guang was all bark and no bite. The pink-haired girl pales, realizing her pet has fainted from fear. Hao Tian mocks the fool who dared challenge him. Beiming proudly praises Hao Tian. Hao Tian leaps onto his master's shoulder, calmly accepting the compliment. The pink-haired girl fumes, trying to flee but is stopped. Someone jeers that running after losing shames the Ye Shou. Another mocks the Hunter Guild, calling them all talk and no skill. The girl grits her teeth, vowing to rematch and reclaim her pride. A bystander secretly seethes, swearing revenge on Beiming and Hao Tian. The crowd demands Lulu honor the wager, while Kunba coldly refuses to defend her. She bites her hand in despair, whispering she has only one last move left. Beiming is startled as Lulu bursts into tears, making the audience pity her despite finding her adorable. People whisper that only a heartless brute could hurt such a cute girl. Beiming pats her head, half joking that she's too cute but anyone else would been spared. Then his tone turns cold as he pulls her closer, declaring hell teach her fear, making Lulu scream in protest. Beiming calmly delivers his lesson, ignoring her tearful pleas. The girl sobs, admits her faults, and begs for mercy and humiliation. The crowd seethes with mixed outrage and envy. Some curse him, others wish to trade places. Lulu collapses, swallowing her tears and swearing vengeance for today's humiliation and for Haiguang. Beiming cheerfully declares the moral lesson over, smiling as if nothing serious happened. Kunchuan coldly mocks him, warning that consequences await. He secretly smirks, thinking Beiming fell right into his trap by humiliating Lulu. Munu Shu softly thanks him, hugging Hao Tian and praising the dog's unexpected strength. Suddenly, green light flares as three one-eat abominations appear, radiating terrifying energy. Beiming tenses, feeling suffocated by the dense demonic aura. Hao Tian, restrained by Munu Shu, warns that these beings are strange and their nature unclear. Beiming panics upon realizing only he can sense the killing intent while everyone else chats casually. He grits his teeth, realizing the monsters target only him, then smirks coldly time for his polite reply. The three creatures jolt as something shoots straight into them. One sneers that his act is like a grasshopper kicking a carriage. Beiming smiles faintly unmoved. He taunts that he only used a fraction of his power. The enemy chuckles darkly, finding it amusing. Mufei Ngai steps forward respectfully, welcoming the three grandmasters and praising their presence. Seeing everyone bow, Beiming is stunned, thinking he might have just picked a fight with real elites. Both the Risho faction and the hunters bow together under the Grand Master's authority. The three nod and follow Mufei Nungi in the VIP chamber. Kunchuan grits his teeth, realizing he underestimated Mufei Nungai and vows to tread carefully next time. Beiming quietly asks Munu Shu who those terrifying figures are. She explains they're members of Su Huai Shan Yu, a secretive organization dealing with the highest echelons of power. Munu Shu admits even her father was shocked to invite them since they're all actual demons. Beiming is stunned, wondering why humans would ally with demons, and she explains the group is neutral. She adds they're not exactly virtuous, merely walking the line between human and demon realms. Though they avoid worldly affairs, their power keeps balance between the two worlds. Their true motive remains a mystery. Beiming reflects on the tangled world of gods, humans, and demons, while Hao Tian warns him not to stir trouble, especially with that group's leader. Beiming curiously asks about the Dragon Clan, but Hao Tian jokes that with his record, no one would tell him the truth anyway. Munu Shu suddenly says she has a meeting and promises to see him later. Beiming waves goodbye, while Hao Tian notes she seems lighter and happier now. Beiming nods, pitying the seemingly perfect girl burdened with too much, vowing to help however he can. Hao Tian grins, teasing him to stop beating around the bush if he likes her. Just say it. Beiming grabs him by the neck, snapping that the horny one here is Hao Tian, until someone yells at them to behave in public. They turn to see a man and woman struggling, drawing everyone's attention. The man, Shen Xiao, whispers lustfully into Li Mei's ear, suggesting they talk privately in a room. Beiming recognizes Li Mei, the woman who once helped them now trying to push him away, warning this is Chong Ming's territory. Shen Xiao just smirks, gripping her hand and mocking her with scornful words. He pins her to the wall, smoothly bringing up her company's financial troubles to threaten her. He goes on, saying even the Mu clan's near bankruptcy, so she shouldn't expect anyone's genuine help. Then, he blatantly proposes she spend a night with him in exchange for clearing her debts. Li Mei furiously shouts she'll handle her own problems and demands he release her. He leers, daring her to bite him if she dares resist. Suddenly, the wall cracks with a loud crack, making Shen Xiao freeze. Beiming points at the wall, pretending to scold him for breaking it, leaving the man flustered in denial. Shen Xiao angrily yells at Beiming, demanding to know who he is to butt in. Before he finishes, the wall collapses in a cloud of dust. Beiming helps Li Mei up gently, while Hao Tian jokes about saving the pretty sister, easing the tension. The perverted Shen rages, shouting threats at Beiming for interfering. Beiming shrugs mockingly, accusing him of breaking walls and bullying the Mu family. Shen Fei yells furiously, but Beiming stays calm, countering him with logic that only fuels his rage. Finally, Shen Fei snaps, declaring he'll destroy anything he wants, be it a wall or the entire Mu clan. The crowd is furious at his arrogance, but admits the Shen family's power makes resistance pointless. Beiming curiously asks Li Mei who he is, making her laugh in disbelief that he'd poke such a hornet's nest. Li Mei hurriedly explains the Shen family is the top tycoon in the city, running legal business outside and the underworld inside, and Shen Fei is their most ruthless heir. She smiles softly, assuring Beiming that with her around, the man won't dare touch him. Beiming blushes, mumbling thanks, while Li Mei feels her heart flutter, and Hao Tian cracks jokes to lighten the mood. Shen Fei glares coldly, saying Beiming should been dead long ago, then demands to know which faction he serves. Suddenly, someone rushes over, pleading with the big brother to calm down and forget the misunderstanding. It's Shen Luo, arriving with guards, explaining Beiming meant no harm and urging his brother to stop before things escalate. Beiming feels utterly exasperated, thinking how cursed he is to keep running into relatives of people he knows. Shen Fei laughs mockingly, calling Beiming his brother's pet dog and taunting Shen Luo to find a stronger breed before it ends up in a stew. Shen Luo's face darkens as he coldly declares Beiming isn't a dog but his friend. He firmly stands in front of Bei Ming, vowing not to let anyone harm him. Shen Fei squints, asking if he's really willing to risk his life to protect him. Shen Lu replies boldly, "That's right, big brother." Shen Fei pats his shoulder with a smirk, saying he won't ruin brotherhood over an outsider, then mocks that associating with such people is why Shen Luo will never be heir. Shen Fei sneers further, dragging their stepmother into his insults. Shen Luo's eyes flare red with fury at the mention of his mother. Suddenly, Shen Fei is thrown backward as if struck by an invisible force. Bei Ming and Shen Luo stand tall. Bei Ming mocks that the outcome isn't decided yet, and Shen Luo echoes proudly. Shen Fei roars that his brother dares rebel, reminding him the Shen family's authority was never his to share. Shen Luo smirks calmly, "With him by my side, I can do whatever I want." Shen Fei storms off with a threat, while Bei Ming sighs that he's tired of hearing villains say this isn't over. Under the moonlight, they talk. Shen Luo explains why he dragged Bei Ming into the family feud, and Bei Ming says he won't help for free. He raises 2 fingers, demanding 200,000 as a friendly cooperation fee. Shen Luo bursts out laughing, saying Bei Ming sure knows how to bite off a big chunk, leaving Bei Ming dumbfounded too. 200 grand shocked him that much. Shen Luo strokes his chin, misunderstanding, thinking Bei Ming wants 20 of the Shen profits, and promises to seriously consider the offer. He waves goodbye to Bei Ming and Li Mei, wishing them a fun night, leaving Bei Ming speechless. Li Mei glances at him, surprised, asking how they know each other. Then she laughs, saying what a fun story. She never expected this cute boy to be such a hidden character. Crossing her arms, she teases that he demanded 20 of the Shen profits, and jumped into a power struggle, so who's backing him anyway? She steps closer, lifting his chin with a sultry voice that makes him flustered. Staring into his eyes, she says she's getting more and more curious about this intriguing young man. Her hand brushes his cheek, making him blush and stammer, "Wait a second!" Li Mei laughs, releasing him, teasing that his reaction's adorable, and telling him to call her sister Li like Shen Luo does. She hasn't talked to such an innocent boy in ages. But her smile fades as she mentions the deceitful business world, her eyes clouded with exhaustion. Bei Ming gently offers help if her company's really in trouble, like Shen Fei said. Li Mei chuckles, hugging his arm against her chest, saying she can handle it, and slyly adds, "He's quite handsome." Bei Ming blushes bright red while Hao Tian jokes in his mind that this is a divine-level opportunity. A mocking voice rings out, "Oh my, President Li losing in business but winning in love. Huh." Bei Ming turns to see a glamorous woman with 2 bodyguards, sneering that Li Mei must be seducing young men to vent her failure. She mocks that Li Mei's company is near bankruptcy, losing staff and sales, making Li Mei's face darken with rage. Another woman laughs in agreement, prompting Bei Ming to butt in and call her auntie, which makes her explode, demanding to know who he is. She brags about her company's new beauty product, claiming it makes skin glow like a fairy's and look 10 years younger. Bei Ming sarcastically says she must have bought a fake one since she looks anything but charming, then feigns doubt. "Or is my sense of beauty broken?" She furiously introduces herself as Lu Mengyu, boasting of her countless admirers. Bei Ming points at her 2 bodyguards, asking if they find their boss attractive. The guards freeze, sweating bullets at the deadly question. One stammers, but doesn't dare speak. Lu Mengyu snaps at them for being slow, threatens to cut their pay, then angrily orders everyone to the auction and storms off. As she leaves, Lu Mengyu points menacingly at Bei Ming, warning he got lucky today, but next time his doomed. Bei Ming mutters, Yeah, auctions, whatever." Bei Ming and the little creature's eyes gleam with greed, and Hao Tian picks up on it, smirking, "Oh, you've changed nice, I like it." Bei Ming asks President Li about her rival. She calmly says, "Yes, that woman's someone I've beaten many times." She frowns, adding that ever since her rival gained Shen family funding, she's been poaching talent, but insists her company's still strong. President Li drags Bei Ming along to the night's final auction. He replies lazily, Yeah, I'm coming." Backstage, the MC calls Kun Yun, saying it's about to start. He whispers for her to follow his cue, and she reluctantly agrees. Kun Yun smirks darkly, thinking, "Himph, let's see who dares act cocky now." The auction hall buzzes with excitement. Some crave rare items, others the prestige. Someone comments that, with the Night Hunter's fame, rare treasures are bound to appear tonight. The host, Xiaoyan, greets the crowd and dives right in, unveiling the first item. She presents a spiritual painting, said to ward off evil and lengthen life, with a starting bid of 2 million dai. Bei Ming spits out his drink, shocked a painting costs that much. He wonders why they painted Hao Tian instead of a god. The little creature blinks. Is he really worth that much? Hao Tian praises his own looks, while Bei Ming fumes seeing the goddess in the painting hugging that smug mutt. The bidding skyrockets, from 2 million to 25 million in seconds. A masked group remains silent, never placing a bid. Mu Fei Nunga's son whispers nervously that the Shu Y group hasn't bid yet, making their effort on the painting wasted. Mu Fei Nunki calmly tells him to wait. This whole auction was set up by the Night Hunters to bait Shu Y, and it's just the opening act. Xiaoyan asks if anyone will bid higher than 25 million. She counts to 3 and bangs the gavel. The painting is sold for 25 million. Beiming smirks, teasing Hao Tian for being stingy, making the dog want to strangle him. Xiaoyan unveils the next item while Beiming keeps grinning slyly at Hao Tian. The next is a gold ring, sold for 3 million amid cheerful applause. Then comes a dragon scale necklace. A purple-haired girl wins it for 5 million, stirring the crowd. Beiming sighs that he can't afford it, while Hao Tian whispers, "If you want it, just take it." Beiming pretends to be righteous, saying he'll borrow it after the auction ends. He frowns, reminding himself to seize any chance to gather vital intel. Xiaoyan announces the final item is coming. Camera flashes ignite the hall. Miss Jun mocks Mu Fei Nagi, saying his night hunters have nothing impressive to show. Kun Xuan puffs a cigar, revealing she knows the auction's really bait for Xu Huai, making Mu Fei Nungi uneasy. Someone reminds them the plans approved from above and warns Mu Fei Nungai to stay cautious. Miss Jun sighs pitifully that trusting such a messy crew is hopeless. Kun Xuan sneers, advising him to learn from hunters believe in himself, not devils, making Mu Fei Nungi boil with rage. Kun Yun secretly decides it's time to act. He schemes to lure Beiming and the night hunters into his trap, then signals Xiaoyan. The MC receives the cue and announces that a gentleman wishes to add his private collection to the auction. She points toward Beiming, stunning the whole hall, then invites him on stage to share. Beiming freezes, wide-eyed. "When did I say I had something to auction?" He glances at the dog, which snaps back, "Don't look at me, I'm not for sale." Xiaoyan urges applause, and Beiming steps on stage with a dark face amid whispers and curious stares. Mu Fei Nungi curses inwardly, realizing Kun Yun has set them up, but avoiding Beiming now would make him a laughingstock. Mu Nushu fumes, convinced Kun Yun's trying to humiliate them, and wants to take Beiming's place since he has nothing of value. Beiming turns her down, saying if she covers for him, has no man, making her blush deeply. Nushu watches, touched by his pride and resolve, recalling her sister's words, "Never stop a man proving his worth." Xiaoyan calls for attention, asking what Beiming's brought. He smiles mysteriously, reaching into his shirt, praying it's not too ridiculous. He pulls out an old, faded book and raises it confidently, surprising Xiaoyan. She opens it and gasps. Its Changes Beauty Secrets, signed by the legendary Jade Rabbit, a nearly mythical collectible. Beiming stares at it, thinking, guess I'll just trust that old mutt this time. Xiaoyan starts bidding at 1 yuan, sending the hall into laughter. People mock him for auctioning a skincare guide. Beiming's face darkens amid the laughter, though a few jokers half support him with bids of 1.8, then 5 yuan. Miss Jun sneers that the Night Hunter's auction has turned into a comedy show. Mu Fei Nungai trembles nervously, unsure whether to intervene. Mu Nushu and the dog both frown if not for appearances. Should have rushed up to save Beiming already. Kun Yun grins wickedly, thinking, now let's see you crash and burn for crossing me. Suddenly, Xiaoyan pauses. Someone is actually bidding. 2 paddles rise at once. President Lai of Lemay Group bids 100 million won, and Shen Xiao of the Shen family bids 300 million, stunning the entire room. The crowd explodes. They're bidding that much for a beauty book, but falls silent upon hearing those elite names. Lu Mengyu snorts, saying President Li's blinded by lust, that worthless book belongs in the trash, then bursts out laughing. Kun Yun chuckles coldly, thinking Beiming's just bluffing backed or not, that junk's still junk. But Xiaoyan suddenly announces another bidder, freezing Kun Yun in place. It's the Shuai Shanyu Group, offering 10 million, making the entire hall hold its breath. Mu Feiengi, Nushu Kunshan, and even Kun Yun are all dumbstruck by the insane number. The audience buzzes in disbelief that such a ragged book could be worth millions, speculating it's a secret manual or magical artifact. Beiming gapes, what the hell? Completely baffled that even Shu Wai joined in. Lu Mengyu explodes, shouting that Shu Wai must be blind and probably paid by Beiming to fake the bids. She keeps ranting, insulting them as rich idiots with broken brains. Mu Fei Ungi slams his cane, declaring that no one insults guests at a Chongmingju auction and that everything is legitimate. Lu Mengyu sits down fuming, vowing to make Mu Fei Nagi pay later. Beiming looks around at everyone's extreme reactions, starting to suspect the book really hides something. Hao Tian dismisses it as nonsense. The dog sniffs proudly, saying anything from Hao Tian is top tier. Activate it right, and miracles appear, piquing Beiming's curiosity. He coughs lightly to regain the crowd's attention. Beiming says loudly, thank you everyone. Please, stay calm, I have a few words to say. He raised the book calmly, saying disbelief was natural, humans only trust what they see. Lu Mengyu pointed accusingly, claiming Beiming called her stupid, while a guard whispered for Boss Lu to stay calm. Beiming waved quickly, saying she misunderstood his words, targeted all who hadn't dared to bid. He sneered, mocking them for being blind to true value. The crowd exploded, shouting the book was just a book, no magic tricks there! Beiming smirked, not so sure about that. He tossed the book skyward, declaring he'd show them a miracle. The book burst into blinding light, forcing everyone to shield their eyes. Someone cried, it's too bright, I'll go blind! From the light emerged a stunning woman, Chang Yi, dancing midair, breathtaking beyond words. A man dared to touch her sleeve, then mumbled dreamily, "It smells heavenly." As she ascended, the crowd screamed, "Don't go! Fairy sister, stay with us!" But Chang'e spun gracefully into light and flew back into the book, leaving a hall full of no! Beiming closed the book with a sly smile, asking so, "Any more doubts?" The entire hall froze, air thick as ice. Then the bids erupted. 20 million, 30! Ficky! Everyone wanted that miracle book. Beiming stood on stage, calm and confident, awe-inspiring to watch. The crowd hailed it as a dream relic, rich folks going mad, believing Chang'e lived inside. A man in a suit insisted it was illusion tech, yet admitted he'd smelled her perfume himself. Mufi Nongi's son, furious, begged to strike Beiming down, but Mufi Nongi roared, "Silence!" Mufi Nongi grew wary, sensing the book's aura was anything but ordinary. Who was that guy? He slammed the table, scolding subordinates for boosting Beiming's fame, demanding, "Do you even know who he is?" They stammered, "Just a high schooler." Mufi Nogi bellowed, "A student holding such treasure," and swore to handle it himself. The price hit 50 million. The MC asked if anyone dared go higher. The mysterious guests paused, then suddenly bid 100 million, stunning the MC. The hall gasped. They doubled it in one go. Beiming gawked. "Did I count wrong?" Huo Yan kept chanting the number, making Beiming dizzy that his skincare book had turned to gold. Then Lu Menju stood up, bidding 110 million, shocking everyone. Mockery turned to mania. The crowd whispered, "She mocked it earlier, now she's throwing cash like confetti." Classic rich folks. Lu Menju lifted her chin, declaring, "Strategic investment. Buying on the rise is smart. The board approved, it must be mine." The masked guest raised to 120 million. Lu Menju shot back 130. Mufi Nogai schemed Hushui's side must win, not her. When it hit 140 million, Mufi Nai abruptly halted the auction for fairness and financial safety. He claimed the book's true value was unverified, freezing the bid at 140 million to prevent risks. The crowd protested but begrudgingly admitted his logic made sense. A bearded man blew smoke and sneered, saying Mufi Nongi was just flattering the Hushui group, a sly old fox indeed. Lu Menju shot up, furious, "Are you breaking auction rules? Highest bid wins? Who gave you the right to stop it?" She added that if Zhong Mingju acted unfairly, their reputation would crumble completely. Mufi Nongi flushed red, anger boiling at her hitting the mark. Beiming stepped between them. "Calm but sharp, both of you are respected people. Public bickering's unseemly. Besides, did I ever say I was selling this book?" The hall exploded. Mufi Naiga growled, "Not selling." Beiming coolly replied, "You think I came up here to sell?" He smiled at Hu Yan, teasing, "Pretty MC, you know I never registered for auction, right?" Making everyone suspect a hidden plot. A grumpy spectator shouted, "Told you! Letting a kid play at such an event was madness." Beiming stayed calm. "Well, I'm here, and the treasure's revealed. What, should I just walk away empty-handed?" He added sharply, "I don't belong to Zhong Mingju or the Mu clan. No one commands me. Tell me, Mufi Nogi, why should I obey you?" Mufi Nongi trembled with rage, humiliated by a high schooler's defiance. Beiming faced the crowd, declaring, "The treasure will be traded, but I, not anyone else, will decide how." The audience murmured, some angry, some impressed. One nodded, "His right, his item, his rules. Kid's got guts, I like him." The cloaked guests stayed silent, cold and unreadable. Hotian, curled in his robe, sighed, "I'm exhausted, let me rest and watch this play." Lu Menju burst out laughing, "You're quite something. Forget the past misunderstandings. I'll bid 150 million! Beiming laughed loudly. "Did I say the highest bidder wins?" Then shouted Lei. Lai Mei looked up stunned, as Beiming said, "Selling it to Sister Lei for 1 million. The hall froze. 150 million versus 1. Everyone whispered, "Is he insane? Or in love with Boss Lei?" The masked guests began leaving, ignoring the crowd's pleas to stay. Mufi Nongi frowned, ordering Rushu to persuade Beiming, snapping, "Do you want to see the Mu clan erased?" She bowed anxiously. Hao Tian in her hands grumbled, "You idiot! Passing up 100 million for that old lady. Ever heard of regret?" Beiming smirked, "I've my own ways to earn money and get information, and I never spare those who irritate me." Lu Menji fumed, "What do you want from her? She's poorer and plainer than me." Beiming sighed impatiently, "Please, just get lost and stop being in the way." Snapped at, Lu Menju stormed off but hissed, "Remember this, you'll pay for crossing Lu Mengyu." The bearded man roared with laughter, "Ha! Impressive! I thought you were just a brat, interested in joining Zhong Mingju. No, our re-show instead." Beiming thought for a second, then flatly, "Never." He only smiled faintly as Mufi Nega's son shouted in disbelief that Yujian dared refuse his father. Mufi Nega's face darkened in silence, while his son ranted that Yujian had rejected a golden chance. Finogi barked for his son to shut up, but the boy kept protesting in confusion. He calmly lit a cigarette, saying, "Don't rush. A real man lets small things go. Think again, the benefits I offer are beyond imagination." Finogi tossed something with a laugh, saying he always stayed passionate about talent. The flying object turned out to be a paper, which Beiming neatly caught between 2 fingers. Before leaving, Finogi told him to think and call, but Beiming quipped he'd never get that call in this lifetime. Finogi walked off laughing, claiming nothing's absolute, surprising Beiming, who thought the old man hated him. Suddenly someone called Ziming, startling him. Lei Mei scolded him for being impulsive, saying no sane person would skip 150 million. Demons, Bei Ming scratched his head, admitting he really intended to sell the book for only 1 million, shocking Lei Mei. She stepped closer, saying they'd known each other just hours too soon to ditch fortune for sentiment, advising him to think of himself. Bei Ming smiled, saying money isn't everything. He believed in feelings and fate, and that the book was worth just 1 million. Lei Mei blushed, feeling a strange warmth she hadn't known in years. To her eyes, Bei Ming glowed, and he softly said selling for 1 million to her was no loss. Lei Mei objected, saying she'd feel guilty. She wouldn't exploit anyone, she'd repay him another way, confusing Bei Ming. His face reddened, wondering what other way she meant. She looked at the book, saying it was vital to her company, and his generosity only deepened her guilt. She raised the book, grinning mischievously, saying she'd treat it as Bei Ming's capital, granting him 30 shares in her top 500 company. She said firmly that made him the second largest shareholder, right after her. Bei Ming froze, imagining himself in a boardroom chair, life turning fairytale bright. Lei Mei handed him her phone, asking him to enter his info for the 1 million transfer. He obediently complied. After finishing, Bei Ming returned the phone politely, reporting completion. Suddenly Lei Mei hugged him, leaving him stiff as a board. The embrace made him blush awkwardly, while she whispered heartfelt thanks. She murmured that meeting him was her luck, making him flustered and tell her not to say that. Before leaving, she told him to await the share contract, smiled back, and he could only nod repeatedly. The black-suited guards whispered, amazed he'd baited a shark profit far beyond 150 million. A sudden voice startled him, scolding him for carelessly exposing personal data. Mu Rishu approached carrying Hao Tian, furious he trusted too easily, while Hao Tian begged rescue from her jealous grip. Bei Ming raised his hands, insisting Lei Mei was trustworthy, and begging the goddess not to misunderstand. Once calmer, Rishu muttered that she had nothing to offer him, feeling a pang of loss. A loud laugh erupted. It was none other than Finogi returning, praising Bei Ming's talent. He smiled kindly, saying the earlier conflict was just a test and asking him not to mind. Bei Ming scratched his head with a polite laugh, still wary inside, while Hao Tian smelled pure skimming. Fi Nugi placed a hand on Bei Ming's shoulder, complimenting him and teasing that he and Xiao Shu made a fine pair, then slyly asked if his heart was taken. Murushu blushed deeply, stammering for her father to stop. Fi Nongyi laughed and apologized, while Bei Ming turned red and Hao Tian mocked the old man for trying to marry off his daughter to please a prodigy. Fi Nongyi said he had business to attend, told Bei Ming to reach out anytime, and left. Bei Ming bowed gratefully. Bei Ming ruffled his hair, sighing to Hao Tian if he'd been overconfident. Hao Tian teased that he was just a hormonal teen, making Bei Ming protest in embarrassment. Murushu's voice startled Bei Ming, and he quickly replied, "Yes, I'm here!" He turned back, stammering that he hadn't been thinking anything improper about her. But she calmly urged him to join Zhong Mingju, saying his talent deserved resources and recognition. The offer made Bei Ming hesitate. It was a huge chance, but Hao Tian butted in, saying the group's rules killed freedom, and Bei Ming agreed he disliked conflict-filled places. Hao Tian grinned, claiming conflict was life's best entertainment. Bei Ming stuffed his hands into his pockets and seriously promised to think it over. Muru Shu shyly apologized for her father's misunderstanding, secretly thinking if it were Bei Ming, an arranged match would be so bad. He was capable, reliable, and oddly reassuring. At that moment, Bei Ming spotted a familiar girl, the one who'd bought the dragon scale necklace. He excused himself and chased after her, leaving Rushu stunned, forcing herself to deny any budding feelings. Bei Ming and Hao Tian rushed off, convinced the necklace held crucial information he needed to borrow. Hao Tian frowned, predicting the girl wouldn't lend it, and suggesting theft, but Bei Ming firmly said sincerity worked better than violence with women. Suddenly Bei Ming froze, eyes wide as if witnessing the impossible. A girl with long purple hair and a flowing blue dress stood quietly in the night, as if waiting for someone. What stunned him most was the fierce dragon tattoo on her back. He couldn't help whispering, "Cool." She spun around, eyes sharp as blades, barking at him to get lost and stop stalking her. Bei Ming and Hao Tian flailed, denying everything and tripping over their words. Before they could explain, men in suits and black shades appeared, saying they served the young lady and asked her to return. They were her bodyguards. Bei Ming and Hao Tian sighed in relief, not perverts. After all, though Hao Tian muttered that technically, he still was. The young lady bolted, shouting she'd severed ties with her family and wanted no more interference. She dashed into the women's restroom, slamming the door and daring them to come in if they had the guts. The guards waited awkwardly outside while Bei Ming sighed about getting tangled in other people's drama. Hao Tian nagged that stealing would been simpler. Night fell, moon hanging high. The guards kept watch, uneasy about her long absence. Finally, they burst in, only to be screamed at by women calling them perverts. Outside, Bei Ming wondered if she had already escaped. Engine noise shrieked from the street, tires screeching loud and sharp. Sure enough, the young lady had swapped places, now riding a red motorcycle blazing into the night. She gripped the handlebars, hair whipping in the wind, rage burning at her father's greed and alliance with the Shen clan. Though Shed left her family, she was determined to stop them from making more mistakes. Suddenly, a hand tapped her helmet. She turned to see Bei Ming smiling behind her, politely asking to see the dragon scale necklace. She screamed, "Why? When did you get on my bike?" She yanked the brakes, tires blazing light as the bike spun and screeched to a halt. She glared suspiciously, demanding who he was and how long he'd been riding behind her. But when she looked back, he was gone, vanished, leaving her bewildered. Bei Ming reappeared beside her, scratching his head and apologizing, startling her before she recognized him. He asked if she knew him, and she replied, "Of course, after that party. Who could forget someone like you?" She removed her helmet, letting black hair fall free, revealing her true beauty. The purple had been a disguise, and asked why he'd followed her all the way here. Setting her helmet on the bike, she narrowed her eyes and demanded his real motive. Bei Ming frantically waved his hands, saying he just wanted to borrow the dragon scale necklace, no bad intent, while Hao Tian fast-palmed in despair. She pulled it out, holding it up. "This one," then coldly said, "Not lending." He bowed slightly, pleading that it was extremely important, and he only needed it for a moment. She turned away, mocking, "If it's that important, why didn't you bid for it? Too poor." The jab left Bei Ming speechless. Hao Tian snickered. Critical hit. He protested he had money now and could pay well, but she sneered, "Do I look broke to you?" She coolly added, "Only one way to get it, shoving it into her chest. Kill me and take it." He blinked. "How?" She scoffed, calling him disappointingly weak, and told him to move if he wouldn't act. Bei Ming froze, while Hao Tian raged, "With women like that, you gotta show dominance!" Suddenly, roaring engines approached, bright scooters swarming the street. Hao Tian's eyes bulged in disbelief. Men in dog masks rode in, shouting the slogan of the Heavenly Hound Gang, declaring they'd capture the girl for bounty, even knowing she was from the Black Dragon clan. Bei Ming gawked. "Since when do you have a gang?" Hao Tian yelled. "I didn't even know." The bikers circled the girl, engines blasting like chaos incarnate. One lunged and got smashed in the face with her helmet, collapsing like a sack of rice. She told them icily to scram since she was busy, leaving Bei Ming and Hao Tian gaping in awe at her sheer badassery. She tightened her gloves as they hesitated, realizing she truly was Black Dragon blood, no pushover. The name jogged Bei Ming's memory. He'd seen that clan at the pet shop, and Hao Tian nodded, saying the tattoo gave it away. She tied up her hair, shrugged off her jacket, revealing the fierce dragon tattoo on her back, a declaration of war. The thugs panicked, begging her to stop, claiming the Heavenly Hounds never harmed beauty. She shot them a look of pure disdain and called them all idiots. Hao Tian wanted to jump into the fight, but Bei Ming held him back, warning restraint. She charged first, her punch like thunder, her kick sending one guy flying, jaws dropping all around. She scanned the field, and the brawl erupted, fists popping like fireworks. To finish, she stomped the ground, and the gang huddled in terror, too scared to breathe. They muttered that their intel was trash, who said she was a fragile heiress. She walked up to one trembling thug, lifted her high heel. He paled. That thing looked deadlier than a knife. He screamed for help, but got stumped in the groin instead. Bei Ming and Hao Tian hugged each other, wincing in phantom pain. Another man stepped up, removing his mask to reveal blonde hair and blue eyes, apologizing for underestimating her and asking her to vent her anger on him. He spoke gravely that there was no personal grudge. His boss had ordered her capture, so he'd fight her himself. He bit off his glove, bearing sharp fangs, then demonized, turning into a hulking beast with glowing red eyes and razor claws. Bei Ming gasped, "Has a heavenly hound!" But Hao Tian explained it was a human corrupted by demonic energy, gaining power fast but dying painfully. The girl grinned, raising her fists, mocking that even transformed, he was still just a cheap mutt. Hao Tian was offended on behalf of all dogs, howling about the insult to canine honor. She spun 180 degrees, kicking at the beast's head, but he caught her leg easily. He sneered that her strength meant nothing under the Heavenly Hound's blessing, telling her to behave so he could claim his bounty. He gripped her ankle tight. She realized his power had skyrocketed beyond her ability to break free. While holding her, he mused that turning her in would finally spare his gang from food delivery and dishwashing gigs. Bei Ming and Hao Tian winced in pity. Bei Ming wondered why bounty hunters were so broke, while Hao Tian cringed at the Heavenly Hound gang name. She kept shouting insults, calling them weak, useless, and telling the stinking mutt to let go. Bei Ming, watching her curse a dog demon, felt awkward. He should be saving the beauty, but this mafia princess made him want to help the gang instead. Hao Tian eagerly agreed, but Bei Ming warned him to hold off and not act rashly. The beast, furious, attacked her for insulting his gang. She slid back but quickly rose again, dust swirling around her. She stepped forward, mocking that none could rival her and threatening his life. She pulled out a golden object, ready to unleash power beyond the demons. Bei Ming and Hao Tian froze. It radiated immense force like a pocket dimension. She popped a glowing capsule into her mouth, preparing to transform. Bei Ming frowned, baffled by the strange artifact. A brilliant light burst from her, power overflowing. The dragon tattoo on her back expanded into a living dragon. Sharp horns grew atop her head. Beiming was stunned. Shed reached a demigod level, not mere demonization. Hao Tian explained Shed drunk dragon blood, awakening the feral might of a blue dragon. Beiming stood amazed that true dragons and dragon blood could still exist. He realized the Black Dragon clan must have secret ties to the dragon race. Serious now? Beiming knew a clash with her was unavoidable. Long Yuying's dragon-link power had surfaced. He had to uncover its mystery. Shen Luo lunged forward, swearing to capture her no matter the cost. She merely sneered at his approach. Long Yuying struck back, crushing him easily. Blood splattered as he fell. The Heavenly Hound gang panicked, horrified at how quickly their boss fell. Shen Luo roared in rage. His full-force assault had been shrugged off. Beiming realized he was burning his life to boost power. Hao Tian sighed in pity. Shen Luo spun wildly as Long Yuying toyed with him, kicking him sky high, yet he still shouted he'd never give up. He leapt back up, yelling that scratches could stop a true disciple of Lord Heavenly Hound. Long Yuying laughed coldly, calling him delusional for thinking he could capture her. She stomped his head, mocking his overconfidence, while the gang below demanded she release their boss or face divine punishment. She scoffed, saying Lord Heavenly Hound was just a barking mutt, never equal to a dragon, and dared him to bite her. The gang howled in fury, branding her the most detestable being in the universe. Hao Tian, offended to his core, nearly charged, but Beiming yanked him back, warning he'd die instantly. Long Yuying turned away, coldly sparing their lives and warning next time Shed bury them all. The gang bluffed they'd let her go for now, while Beiming silently prayed to escape before becoming dragon bait. Shen Luo, bleeding out, still grabbed her leg, vowing no one could insult Lord Heavenly Hound. He'd cling to her till death to complete his mission. Long Yuying coldly said just one thing: let go. The Heavenly Hound gang panicked, begging their boss not to anger her further, or he'd lose his head. Shen Luo shouted that he was an uneducated drifter, ashamed for dragging his brothers into danger. He vowed to trade his own life for half of hers, so the gang could still deliver her to Lord Heavenly Hound. His men wept, confessing they'd never done evil under him and regretted accepting the mission against his will. Tears streaming, Shen Luo barked for them to stop crying and back off before they got killed too. Long Yuying found the touching scene nauseating, calling them all melodramatic fools and threatening to end the show herself. She began charging power, vowing to bury Shen Luo and his whole gang. Shen Luo panicked, begging her to spare his brothers and take it all out on him instead. The fatal blast descended. Everyone thought they'd die on the spot. Shen Luo peeked his eyes open, shocked he was still alive. Beiming stood before him, having absorbed the attack entirely. He said calmly that no grudge here justified slaughter. Long Yuying froze, her dragon flame neutralized, and demanded to know what he was. Beiming replied that seeing both killers and the suicidal disgusted in peace was simply easier. Spikes grew from his arm as he devoured the strike's remnants, even teasing her for being half-human half-demon. Hao Tian grumbled his timing was awful. Long Yuying roared for him to get lost, threatening to kill him next. Beiming's hair stood on end, but he quipped she'd wrinkle faster if she kept raging. She shouted furiously that only she could capture these worms, ordering him far away. He paled slightly but noticed her coughing violently, warning her body was overloading. She kept yelling between gasps that no one could control her, and she had to kill them. Beiming pointed out she was spitting blood. Continuing would kill her. Hao Tian coldly said let her die and just grabbed the necklace. He hated her entirely. Shen Luo staggered up, thanking Beiming for saving them but asking him not to meddle in gang affairs. He said this was a matter of orders, wrong or right, he still had to obey. With a sigh, he added that sometimes one must betray conscience to bear the weight of fate. Then he howled like a true Heavenly Hound, his body mutating out of control. His gang screamed that his demonic power was rampaging. He'd go mad and bite anything near. Hao Tian noted mortals couldn't handle demonic energy without breaking. Beiming nodded, recalling his own past. Hao Tian snapped back that Beiming wasn't even human. Beiming argued otherwise, and they bickered like kids over who wasn't human. Hao Tian suddenly turned serious, confusing Beiming. Wait, what are you on about? Long Yuying collapsed, coughing blood relentlessly. Beiming urged her to stop forcing herself, saying every enhancer had an antidote. She weakly whispered she could. She confessed she'd forgotten to bring the antidote. Beiming and Hao Tian were stunned. Holy carelessness of the century. Shen Luo seized the chance and lunged at her. Beiming saw had lost all humanity, fully beast now. Hao Tian sighed that greedy humans always ended this way. The Heavenly Hound gang knelt, begging Beiming to save their boss, promising lifelong servitude. Beiming sighed without him. They'd all be corpses by now, and wondered what on earth went through gangster minds. He shouted for them to leave it to him and get clear before the demonic surge hit, but they tearfully refused to abandon their leader. They swore to live or die together and begged him only to focus on saving their boss. Beiming nodded grimly, secretly finding their stubborn loyalty strangely admirable. Hao Tian praised loyalty, then asked Beiming's plan. He replied, strike fast, strike clean. He unleashed wild power, Warning delay meant Long Wuying would die first. Shenla trembled uncontrollably, nearly losing all control. Bo Ming saw him shaking, asked if he was scared, then mocked the gap between real and fake strength. He spoke while channeling energy into his fist like a teacher ready for a lesson. Shenla's eyes blazed red as he roared furiously. Then came a series of thunderous blows like walls collapsing. The underlings covered their eyes in fear, crying while transferring energy to their boss. When the dust cleared, Shenla's face was pig-swollen. Bo Ming calmly said, "That'll do," stunning everyone. He explained not to panic, this was part of stabilizing power. The gang burst into tears of joy seeing their boss recover. Hao Tian sneered, calling them a bunch of mood-swinging crybabies. Bo Ming warned their boss was weak and needed a hospital. They thanked him and asked a question. They suggested handing over Long Wuying for a reward share. Bo Ming exploded, calling it nonsense. He lectured them about self-reliance and mercy for old ties. With fist raised, he vowed one day he'd rise and make doubters watch. The gang teared up, calling that the true spirit of Tian Go. Bo Ming winked and ordered them to charge ahead with full might. They bowed gratefully, promising to remember his kindness. Hao Tian facepalmed, mortified they kept claiming to be Tian Go's men. Bo Ming asked who this Lord Tian Go even was. Hao Tian cursed, told him to tend the girl, while fuming over his stolen fame. Bei Ming shook the girl, asking if she lived. Hao Tian sighed, telling him to grab her ring before she died, startling him. Hao Tian urged theft, but Bei Ming saw her still breathing and chose to save her. He used healing power, trying to pull her back from the brink. Nothing worked. He suspected dragon blood blocked recovery. Hao Tian said dragon poison could be drawn by magic, only by mouth. Bei Ming blushed furiously, thinking it was a dirty prank. Hao Tian stayed cool, saying just do it or loot the ring and leave. He didn't care. Bei Ming steadied himself. It's just using his mouth, no big deal, and inhaled deeply. He leaned down to do what he thought was right. Hao Tian panicked, yelling, "Wait, not that spot!" Then he teased, making Bei Ming redder as he defended himself. Enraged, Bei Ming pummeled Hao Tian while he screamed. Hao Tian clutched his head, saying it was just a joke. Bei Ming demanded the real method. Hao Tian gritted through pain, swearing revenge but giving the truth. Bei Ming confirmed he must suck from the wound. Hao Tian nodded obviously. Bei Ming fumed that Hao Tian should have said so sooner. Hao Tian snickered, almost a kiss though. Ignoring him, Bei Ming focused on finding her wound. He found it near her heart and sucked the poison out. Hao Tian praised him. Now just spit the dragon blood out and done. But strange memories of Long Wuying flooded Bei Ming, a bizarre lab scene. Before he saw more, Hao Tian smacked him awake, yelling to spit the poison. The dragon blood burst out, forming an illusory dragon that exploded in the sky. Bei Ming opened his eyes dizzy, asking what he just saw. In front of him was a tiny, familiar puppy. Hao Tian had turned into a dog, but facing him. Hao Tian sighed in regret. If Bei Ming hadn't woken, his mischief plan might worked. Bei Ming blushed harder, demanding what that thing was. Hao Tian coolly said he always looked for a chance to finish it. Hao Tian kept urging that since the girl was safe, taking the necklace now made sense. Bei Ming agreed, praising Hao Tian for a rare useful thought. The necklace was worth a noble's life. Seeing her still unconscious, Bei Ming planned to take it then call for help, asking where it was. Hao Tian flatly answered chest, making Bei Ming's eyes pop. The twin peaks before him froze him solid. Hao Tian teased him for being scared. Bei Ming scowled, vowing to prove as a man. He moved with solemn focus like on a top-secret mission. But just as his hand neared the forbidden zone, Long Wuying shot up, grabbing his wrist and scaring his soul out. Bei Ming panicked, babbling explanations for the misunderstanding. She weakly whispered, Long Yin Shui to take me there. Bei Ming blinked, confused by her words. Then she fainted again. Hao Tian burst out laughing, mocking Bei Ming's cowardice and asking where his manhood went. Bei Ming brushed himself off, admitting he's bad at doing things against his conscience. Hao Tian kept teasing, but Bei Ming ignored him, saying he'd take her to Long Yin Shui Tai and ask to borrow the necklace properly. He added that he had questions for her directly. Long Wuying leaned unconscious on his shoulder, while Hao Tian behind still pried curiously. With the moon high, Bei Ming said they'd talk on the way. He drove a sleek red supercar with the girl and Hao Tian in tow. Hao Tian kept pressing his question, but Bei Ming deflected, asking about his home. Hao Tian snapped, demanding the truth. Bei Ming confessed that while absorbing dragon blood, he glimpsed strange fragments of its origin. Hao Tian guessed his divine insect eyes had scanned hidden data within the blood. They agreed they'd need more creatures to test this odd ability. Though he hated trouble, Bei Ming decided to gain the unconscious girl's trust. She was the best clue. Hao Tian instantly plotted to borrow her things, forcing Bei Ming to reword it politely. The cheeky dog argued that borrowing or stealing was just paperwork difference, leaving Ming speechless. The sky that day was impossibly blue, as if showing off. After a soul-rattling drive, they arrived at a grand watery pavilion that awed Ming. But the massive gate shattered his fairy tale mood, leaving him deflated. Spotting a dragon emblem, Ming guessed the owner's noble status, then a loudspeaker rudely told them to leave. He clicked his tongue at the tight security, then alarms started beeping again. When all went silent, Ming felt uneasy. Hao Tian instantly took battle stance. They soon caught the sound of approaching footsteps. A squad of high-heeled women stormed out like combat models on a catwalk. The huge gate slammed open, announcing the end of safety time. White smoke gushed around the car, making Ming panic about his life's next chapter. Then dozens of cold gun barrels aimed straight at him. He was surrounded by deadly flowers-wielding guns, looking anything but friendly. He stammered a plea, hoping politeness might save him. But their icy stares forced him to raise his hands and insist it was all a small misunderstanding. They grilled him who he was, what the dog was, where their lady went, threatening to bury him if he didn't talk. Tense as a wire, Ming forced a peace smile, claiming he'd saved their lady instead of harming her. The guards pressed guns to his forehead, calling him a liar and threatening to shoot. Ming's face hardened. Lying now meant death. He declared their lady had dragon blood poisoning and had barely pulled her back from death's door. Hearing dragon blood, they roared louder, calling Ming a lunatic and deciding to erase him. Ming was stunned. They were so low-level, they didn't even know what dragon blood was. Hao Tian cut in, saying to skip lectures and finish this fast. Ming retorted he wasn't a brute. Hao Tian kept teasing him about touching the girl, driving him mad. Ming sent a thought had mentioned dragon blood, just to lure out someone knowledgeable from within. Sure enough, a female voice ordered a stop. Everyone froze in fear of Sister Yun. She confirmed the lady was truly saved by Ming, who smugly told Hao Tian had been right. Sister Yun handed him a credit card worth $1 million as reward and told him to leave immediately. Ming cheerfully accepted and agreed without fuss. But before pocketing it, pain twisted his face pale. He collapsed coughing, making the guards panic, thinking he was poisoned. He gasped that his body was drained. After saving her, half his breath felt gone. The sudden weakness made Ming shiver, wondering if this was karma for meddling. Seeing him down, the guards aimed closer, both worried and ordering him to leave. After hesitation, they were told to inspect his injuries and obeyed quickly. Seeing Ming's metal arm, the woman froze, baffled by what she saw. Then, spotting his artificial legs, her shock turned to awkward guilt. Watching him lying helpless, they realized he'd risked a broken body to save their lady. They regretted aiming guns at him and recognized the dog as the young master's pet. Hao Tian privately asked Ming if breaking in like this was necessary. Ming proudly said everything was part of the final plan. Hao Tian reluctantly admitted Ming was right and agreed to help this once. Taking advantage, Hao Tian played the pitiful act, making the guards soften up. Sister Yun ordered Ming and Hao Tian escorted to the guest room for care, but banned from secret areas. She calmly promised to explain everything to the lady upon waking, soothing the staff. At the same time, she wanted to know how Ming learned of dragon blood. Per higher orders, the guards complied. The watery pavilion fell eerily silent. Ming lay on a big bed, satisfied with his infiltration. Hao Tian woke him, warning the sedative would last till morning. Seeing Hao Tian in true spirit form, Ming asked about that and about Xiao Tian Tian. Hao Tian calmly said Xiao Tian Tian was asleep, and this form made tonight's plan easier. He added that inside, many treasures scents were already clear. At the word treasure, Ming's eyes gleamed like headlights, his brain ringing with coin sounds. Seeing Ming's excitement, Hao Tian motioned for silence, reminding him to use mind speech. Ming panicked, claiming he came to borrow info, not steal. Hao Tian waved it off. First find the treasure. He warned the mansion was sealed by wards, making the search long and complex. Ming told himself one night was plenty. His power restored, he could grind all night. But before starting, an external command boomed. Strict watch, step out, get shot. The duo froze. Ming sighed. They were practically locked in, while Hao Tian excitedly suggested fighting the female guards. Ming shook his head. One gunshot and the plan's dead, so stealth was the only way. Hao Tian asked for a plan, and Ming said their ace was Xiao Tian Tian. Hao Tian gawked. What could that brat possibly do? Ming coolly replied it depended on what Hao Tian had trained it to be best at. The cryptic hint piqued Hao Tian's curiosity about what talent Ming meant. He boasted he was good at tons of things, demanding which one Ming referred to. Outside the lounge, a guard stood watch per superior orders. The lounge door creaked open with a suspicious click. The female guard instantly raised her gun, her soft voice laced with threat, ordering the patient to stay put. But out came little Hao Tian, a dog, leaving her dumbfounded. She scolded it sharply, saying pets were banned too, and ordered it back inside. Little Hao Tian ignored her and kept strutting forward. The defiance enraged her. She shouted for it to stop. Losing patience, she fired, declaring anyone leaving dies, dog included. But little Hao Tian dodged bullets like a stroll, leaving her speechless. She kept shooting, but it leapt around teasingly until she screamed in pure confusion at this demon pup. Little Hao Tian blushed, then unleashed a liquid counterattack, smoking her to the max. That crossed her fury line. She roared, shed punish, the insolent mutt, right here in the pavilion. A chaotic chase erupted. Guarding duty flew out her mind. Ming sighed. Mini Hao Tian was way too enthusiastic. Lucky the guns were silenced. Still, he admitted the pup had genius Raja triggering skills. Anyone it met blew up instantly. That backhanded compliment annoyed Hao Tian, who wanted to argue, but Ming awkwardly said to focus on the mission. The dog decided silence was safer, secretly wishing for tasty loot to absorb and grow stronger. It asked Ming's next move, get the necklace or another target. Ming prioritized the necklace, but admitted it wasn't easy. Ming grew wary as Long Wu Ying's aura vanished, asking if Hao Tian could still smell her. Hao Tian said the scent was almost gone, she might be dead or in a sealed zone. GPS was useless, so Ming chose to tail suspects. Ming mocked the lax security, but Hao Tian warned the place was only deceptively calm, a massive mansion shouldn't be this empty. Just then, a shadow appeared. Hao Tian quietly alerted. Ming rejoiced at a lead, signaling Hao Tian to follow the veiled woman. They stalked her silently, but she walked endlessly down the corridor. Ming got impatient while Hao Tian hissed at him to stop acting like a rookie. The woman entered a communal bath, and Ming froze. This was the Jade Dragon hot spring full of gorgeous ladies. He turned to find Hao Tian gone. Startled, he blurted out as the dog had vanished. Turned out Hao Tian had switched to pervy mode, diving toward the hot spring like a moth to flame. Ming panicked, yanking its leash and dragging it back, just before the forbidden paradise. Pulled back, Hao Tian snarled that Ming ruined his treasure hunt. Ming barked back, telling him to stay sane and not turn into a horny dog mid-mission. At that moment, women's chatter echoed inside as they planned a group soak. Hearing the flirty tones, Ming and Hao Tian froze, blushing and eavesdropping. Ming nearly noseabled from the vivid sounds, while Hao Tian blamed him for ruining his front row view. The towel girl reappeared, gently declining the invite, saying she had to service the weapons. Arms full of guns, she sighed shyly, admitting she preferred the chill of metal. She hugged her guns lovingly, murmuring about the scent of nitrosilicon like cuddling a teddy bear. Her gun obsession was so creepy, she whispered to each one like a child. Ming and Hao Tian shivered. No one here seemed normal. Ming suggested checking if Wu Ying was inside. Hao Tian grinned, saying that's the manly spirit, urging Ming forward. From inside came flirty chatter about smooth skin, lotions, and touching. Ming blushed scarlet, stepping into the women's changing room, stunned by underwear scattered everywhere. Then a cold gun pressed to his neck, freezing him stiff. The same girl stood behind, aiming at his head, voice sharp. Seen enough. She said testing is fine, but she wouldn't act recklessly for mere rewards. Ming tensed. He hadn't noticed her tailing him. Even Hao Tian was freaked for missing it. She said Shed caught him trailing her long ago. Did he really think he was sneaky? She mocked that Shed heard he saved the lady, but clearly, he was just a pervy peeper. Ming panicked, babbling he was just lost and accidentally followed her. She called out the lie immediately but said Shed go easy since he saved her mistress, just escort him back. She ordered him along at gunpoint, saying it was precautionary and asked for cooperation. Ming sighed in relief. She seemed kind, but Hao Tian warned the kinder they seem, the deadlier they are. Ming smiled awkwardly, saying he could fight men, but never raise a hand to women. Then, a dart shot into his neck before he realized what was happening. He recognized the tranquilizer as darkness flooded his face. He tried to ask what she was doing but froze mid-sentence. Before he could react, Ming collapsed under the drug's effect. She grinned wickedly, laughing as Ming hit the floor. When the moon rose, Ming woke, body heavy and aching all over. He found himself bound tightly in rope and steel chains, unable to move. She appeared, mocking that his early wake spared her the trouble of harsher methods. In a room full of weapons, she declared he was the first man ever inside and might be the last if he didn't talk. She flicked on a taser, sparks crackling like party lights. Ming strained but couldn't break free. She grew more amused, showing off her alloy chair, carbon fiber ropes, and weird collar, her personal hobbies. She cracked her whip, face cold as ice, starting the interrogation. Bei Ming stammered at her questions about the lady's plot. She signaled for yes or no. He kept shaking his head, denying everything. She snapped the whip threateningly, warning him to tell the truth if he valued safety. Stepping closer, she gripped the chains, saying only strength decides, and demanded his confession. Hao Tian watched, mocking Ming's pitiful look, asking mentally what the loot was. Hao Tian replied the whole area was trash, no treasure found. She grew annoyed at Ming's silence, raised her whip. He and Hao Tian agreed on a new plan. Ming suddenly broke free and caught her whip midair. The move shocked her. She couldn't believe he escaped. With slight effort, Ming tore through the restraints. He smirked, saying no more pretending he was too strong for that. Bei Ming stood tall, calmly facing her. She instantly aimed her gun, wary of his calm stance. As she was about to shoot, he stopped her, silently signaling to stay quiet. Before she could react, Ming covered her mouth. He used his old trick, asked her to cooperate quietly. Stressing hierarchy, she agreed, but demanded his purpose, and he admitted he just wanted to see the treasure room. She called him a thief in rage. Ming proposed to trade her secret in exchange for the treasure's location. She sneered, saying they just met. What secret of hers could he possibly know? Ming kept silent, but hinted at doubting her true identity, stunning Hao Tian. He bluntly declared she was a man in disguise, shocking Hao Tian at her flawless femininity. Hao Tian eyed her petite body to verify the claim, But a few physical details, especially the oddly shaped chest, confused him further. He still couldn't believe such a cute girl was male. Ming noted Shed used the situation to check his body instead, making Hao Tian gasp in disgust at the dirty thought. Ming asked if he really wanted to hear how he found out. It was hard to describe and a bit eye-burning. Hao Tian fixated on the words eye-burning, instantly intrigued. He urged Ming to tell the story, eager to know how he handled it. Ming explained he'd faked fainting when drugged the tranquilizer didn't work. He just pretended. While being carried and pushed around, he noticed nothing unusual. The truth dawned only when she tightened the ropes. Ming exhaled in relief after being tied, realizing his underwear was soaked. Thankfully, he had a spare set. He continued. The girl had changed clothes right in front of him. Ming admitted it was a real test of endurance. He couldn't resist peeking. The whole view unfolded, her bare body in full sight. He was so shocked his jaw dropped. Ming's thoughts tangled as he pieced together what happened. Hao Tian gawked, so the gun girl was actually a gun guy. Ming argued it wasn't peeping since the girl was a man. Hao Tian blushed, realizing Ming had trolled him completely, calling him a pervert. Ming fired back, saying she was the pervert for cross-dressing. Hao Tian concluded both were perverts, which made Ming snap and tell him to shut it. Ming calmly said life was a stage she acted to, blending with women and even hiding her gun. He admitted her actions were low but filled with deeper motives. Hao Tian grumbled he didn't want to be compared to shady types. The girl, now revealed as male, spoke softly, saying he just wanted to protect what mattered most. Hao Tian and Ming listened as he recounted his orphaned past, raised by the Long Gang and trained as an assassin. Tears fell as he said the young lady saved him from darkness and gave him hope. As a child, he was so pretty that dresses fit him perfectly. Long Wuying liked him in skirts, though embarrassed. She reassured him it's fine even for a boy. Hao Tian solemnly warned against dwelling in the past, while Long Wuying explained her dragon lineage and his snake origin, calling herself Hua Xia, the serpent flower. She handed him a gun. His eyes widened, realizing it was her personal weapon. Long Wuying insisted he use it to protect himself. She became the light of Hua Xia's life, and that moment made him vow to protect her smile forever. Ming sighed, realizing he'd hidden his identity to protect her from the shadows. Ming asked why reveal this now. Hua Xia sighed. Because of that bond, he suspected Ming might harbor feelings for the young lady. He sincerely begged Beiming to forgive and keep his secret, pleading to stay by the young lady's side. As he spoke, he blushed, making Beiming furious and confused. Beiming snapped he had zero interest in men wearing dresses, calling him a pervert. He stressed that keeping secrets meant following the deal's conditions. Hua Xia admitted knowing the treasure's location but hesitated to reveal it. Beiming reassured he only wanted to see, not take. Hao Tian looked doubtful. Hua Xia explained the treasure room was sealed, only the young lady and Sister Yun could enter. Beiming asked Hao Tian if that seal could be broken. Hao Tian wasn't sure, he'd need to inspect it firsthand. Beiming unbound Hua Xia, ordering him to lead the way immediately and not try tricks. Hua Xia calmly refused. Hao Tian secretly planned to steal the treasure afterward to boost his own power. The scene shifted to a moonlit night at the grand old mansion. Hua Xi's voice echoed down the hall, reminding them only the lady and Sister Yun could enter and asking Beiming to keep his word. He agreed. Hao Tian grumbled to hurry and grab the treasure. Beiming told him not to sound like a bandit. Hao Tian argued only the strong take, the weak borrow. They faced the sealed door. Hao Tian wanted brute force. Beiming preferred probing first. Beiming focused his energy toward the dragon seal with caution. Golden light flowed into it, and the mark began to glow. Hao Tian impatiently asked if it was open yet. Beiming said it was still reacting, and told the girl not to stand so close. A dragon's maw suddenly lunged to swallow them whole. Hao Tian cursed at the vicious defense system. Beiming grabbed the girl and dodged just in time. He muttered how close that was. The girl blushed as the glowing seal proved far deadlier than expected. Hao Tian wanted to blast the door open, but Beiming refused. It'd make too much noise and get them killed. They decided to return to the original plan, deal with key people first. Beiming frowned, got an idea, and teasingly called Hua Xia Little Flower Flower. Hua Xia blushed in protest, hating that weird nickname. He was shocked when Beiming demanded to meet the young lady. He refused, suspecting Beiming's motives, saying their deal was done. Beiming threatened to shout his secret that he was a man and even add some juicy lies. Hua Xia gave in immediately. Fine. Shut up, it'll take you. He inwardly cursed his fate, forced to live under this demon's tyranny. Someone appeared in the hallway. Beiming faked a friendly act while Hao Tian admired how slick he'd become. Hua Xia led the way but fumed inside. He plotted to find a trap in the mansion to silence Beiming forever. Lost in thought, he walked face first into something soft. Looking up, his face went pale. It was Sister Yun staring daggers at him. She sternly asked what the three of them were doing there.